This is being recorded on September 14th to hit the internets on September 15th, the Ides of September. Oh. You can follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at RedTicketBlues. So this week we have our old friend Jared, also known as WFAN Trades, as a guest on the podcast. We get into everything. Some football. We talk about the beauty of DirecTV, Jim Harbaugh eating his snots, and someone on Twitter who loves to talk about what he eats. We'll get into all that. But before we jump into Mr. WFAN Trades, we have our sponsor here. I've been telling you about Seat Swap. You know Seat Swap. Oh, yeah, Brian, we know. But you might be asking me one question.
What is Seat Swap?
What is that? You tell me.
What is Seat Swap?
Yeah, even Mike Francesa sometimes wants to know, what is Seat Swap? Yeah, you heard about it at FrancescaCon. You heard it here. But again, what does Seat Swap actually do? Well, that's where I come in and explain it a little further for you. It's pretty basic, but also kind of genius. Think about it. It's a platform that connects real fans, not anonymous brokers or bots pushing up marked tickets, but real people, so they can trade, swap tickets with each other. Think of it like season ticket insurance. You pay all this money up front to the team's starting quarterback, ruptures his Achilles in week 1 the whole season, and your money go down the toilet. But with Seat Swap, it's like having tickets to all your favorite events, even if they're the Brooklyn Nets, which, you really got to rethink priorities in your life. But you can take the seats you already have paid for, and yet ones you actually want, whether it's sports, music, theater, or something like Cirque du Soleil. There we go, Brian. Christ almighty. It's up to you. Works like this. You tell Seat Swap what tickets you have on hand or are looking to trade away. Then you select the ones you want to trade for. And like you've introduced the scores of fans, just like you have tickets that you want and the seats you want. Seat Swap combines the ease of finding tickets to the events you love with the fun excitement of negotiating a deal that works best for you. Who doesn't want that? So right now, Seat Swap is giving tickets. They're giving red ticket blues tickets, Seat Swap tickets. I mean, there's so much confusion. There shouldn't be. That's my fault. They're giving listeners to their show an opportunity to be the first site to anyone to get their hands on it. I mean, yeah, that's like being the first person to own an iPod in 2003. Not only be the coolest kid on the block, but you'll also be able to talk shit to the founders of Seat Swap, Dan and Josh. Tell them what you like, what sucks. And not only that, but if you thought to yourself, well, Brian, there's no way this could possibly get any better. Well, you're wrong, because it does. You're also going to be, if you're a season ticket holder, Seat Swap's going to give you the chance to become a verified member, just like having a little check mark on Twitter, but better. When you become a verified Seat Swap member, you're going to get a ton of perks like preferred status, among other users, the ability to swap for free and exclusive access to premium features. So I've done enough selling for Seat Swap right now, okay? So there's only one thing for you to do, and that's go to SeatSwapTickets.com. SeatSwapTickets.com. That's SeatSwapTickets.com. I'm going to continue saying it until your ears bleed. SeatSwapTickets.com, because everyone loves free shit. So, here's Jared.
All right, folks, you know him. He is Jared, WFAN Trades. Sir, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Very good. That's such a professional way. Good. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
It's
first time. Yeah, whatever.
So, Jared, thank you for coming back. It's always a pleasure. Now we both have something in common right now. We're both Northeast guys, and we've moved out of the Northeast area. As people know, in California. I mean, the world knows. I am in California, and you are. Do we want to review where you are? You are in the southern United States, correct?
I am in the great state of Georgia, about 45 minutes outside of Atlanta, or the ATL, as not me calls it. I don't know. People call it that, but not me.
How many times a day do you call it the ATL?
I flip back and forth between the ATL and Hotlanta. I keep it real. That's what I do.
I can't see those words ever coming out of your mouth.
No, of course not.
So we've both started to experience, because you were telling me you just got DirecTV before we started here, experiencing an NFL Sunday, because we all experienced this week, and I as well. Tell me, what is it like getting to see all of the games at once thrown in your face?
Magical. It was. I tweeted it out. It was one of the most amazing sports things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It was It was ridiculous. It was, prior to the game starting, they have the CBS pregame dog shit show, and then they have the Fox dog shit show. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't watching those, but as I was flipping through, it's like game mix 1, 4 boxes, and then game mix 2 is 8 boxes, and I was like, whoa, hold on. They're going to show all the games on these channels, and you could just watch them all at once. That's what's going to happen. It was like discovering cable like 25 years ago. Like, I couldn't believe what was happening before me. And then the game started, and it was even another level of ridiculousness. It's just so much game coming at you. I know that sounds incredibly stupid, but they have Game Mix 1, which is the 4 games at once. They have Game Mix 2, which is 8 games at once. They have the Red Zone channel. They have the Fantasy channel. And then obviously every individual game, if you want to zoom in, so to speak, on each individual game. It's so much fucking football. It's crazy. It's crazy.
What's funny is, this podcast should probably be like 10 years earlier, as some people are listening to this being like,
we're the only two assholes without this. I get that.
But being like, do you assholes know this existed way before you guys ever talked about it on September 14, 2016?
But here's the thing: if you've gone to a bar or
exactly.
Maybe not Buffalo Wild Wings, they have the game on, but I think you kind of just like, hey, there's the Saints game or there's the whatever game. You kind of get lost in the fact that the games are just on. But when you're controlling it, and when you're an idiot like the remote like I am, where I just can't stop changing the channel, it was ridiculous. I changed the channel 50 times. Between checking in on, I'm a Giants fan, but checking in on the Jet game, checking the fantasy stuff, going back to the 4 games. As I mentioned before, my dad actually came over and was watching the game with me. We popped on, I think it was Game Mix 2, which was the 8 channel, 8 games at once.
8 games.
And we were watching it for, 8 games. Stupid that sounds. So we were watching for like 5 minutes. He turns to me, he's like, this is too much. This is way too much stuff coming at me. And I'm like, all right, let's go back to 4. Let's see if we can handle 4. You got the Jet game on in the top right-hand corner. We watched that, and then we popped into individual games. It all settled down once the Giant game came on.
Right.
It was like, okay, we can take a little bit of a breath now.
You get to the 4 o'clock games, everything slows down a little bit.
Right. Well, and this week they had, 9 games at 1 and 3 games at 4 or 4:30. But I don't know. There's probably a very good reason for that. That seemed a little lopsided, but.
The problem with going out to like a sports bar or whatever, you also have that like swivel head action where you have to turn your fucking head around for everything. It's like, oh, the Browns scored. Oh, they did. Oh. And then, what's this? It's annoying. And now you have the Back to the Future 2 like thing where you sit down, you're like, yeah, give me channel 17, 24, 95, and you just sit there and they all pop up like you're Marty McFly Sr.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And then the problem, if you do fantasy, I've cut it down to in 2. Well, let me put it this way. This is what I said to my dad. My dad goes, why would you want all these channels? I'm like, well, number one, if you're like me, you're an out of town fan. That's number 1. Number 2 is fantasy, and number 3 is gambling. That's it. I mean, those are so if you're gambling and you want to torture yourself with every game, that's one way to do it. And then obviously fantasy is a whole nother, animal over here. But yeah, it used to be like, I'm just checking the app or I'm checking my laptop or whatever. This past week, the ESPN app shit the bed the entire 1 o'clock game.
That was enormous Twitter news. People were going crazy about the ESPN football fantasy app.
Yeah, I mean, you would have think they would have prepared for it, but who am I to judge?
You can judge. This entire podcast is about judging. I do it every.
I read somebody's tweet on it. They're like, it was very simple, and it had hundreds of retweets. They go, you had 7 months to work on this. Like, what were you doing?
Yeah, I saw another one that actually got a ton of retweets, too. It was very simple. It just said, get your shit together.
Get your shit together, right?
Do you remember back in the day? I mean, this is talking how old we are. Do you remember back in the day? This is going back to probably we're around the same age, so I'm thinking late high school, early college, of actually calling up a number to get the scores. I don't know how Utah State did, because I watched so many of their games. I need to know what's going on in the third quarter there. I mean, that.
Yes, it seemed like 100 years ago. Yeah. But I'll do you one better. I was one of the only kids in my high school who got the Motorola beeper with the sports scrolls, scores on it.
Fucking badass.
Dude, the Titans won yesterday. Get out of here, did they? Or not the Titans at the time. The
and it exists. That's right.
Oilers. Right. What do you call it? Yeah. So that was.
I remember
that was
that
a game changer.
I remember that being advertised, but I always wanted to be like, I want to get that. No way I'm going to spend money on that, but god damn it, that would be cool.
I knew a kid at the wireless place who hooked me up for a cool $500 or whatever I paid for it. At the time, it was the most. I was like, well, this is the smartest investment I've ever made. Until 5 months later, when the internet came out or whatever it was, I was like, oh, this is incredibly stupid.
5 months later, when you could actually then move on to the game center part where you could just watch pass 10 yards down to 35. Okay, DirecTV. I guess with other, if you don't have somebody told me that they have, if you have Red Zone on another network, I should say, if you have Red Zone on Comcast or Xfinity or whatever, I guess you get some other Joe telling you about all the games. But we, with DirecTV, get Andrew Siciliano with his enormous ears. What I always wonder, forget about his ears, that never piss. They never stop. They go all day long. Are there commercials? Maybe I'm missing them.
No, I mean that's their thing, because if you remember, they do, sometimes they'll jump into a game, and the game will go to a Ford commercial. Yeah, so I think there's a bucket under the desk. I think that's what it is, and I don't know. I can't prove that. Don't ask me to prove that, but I mean, yeah, because they say we don't do commercials, and that is a long fucking stretch, right? That's from 12:50. 12:50 Eastern to 7.
He goes right 7, up close. Yeah, it's about 7:30 or so, I think, because they usually cut out the last 5 minutes of the last game of the day before the Sunday night game. That's a long time, and he's got to be abreast of everything going on too. Okay, but and I love when he's like the who's the guy that does a composer sort of. He's like, all right, take away that camera. All right, we want that one. TV, take away that one. Or now we're gonna go full screen.
Yeah. We're going to this. All right, give me the. But here's the thing, and this is I can't believe I'm even saying this. This is embarrassing. When they go to a game, if you're watching a golf event, and Mike used to remember Mike Francesa.
Yeah.
He would kind of rag on this. In a golf event, they're like, all right, let's cut to the guy in 88th place. You're like, all right, let me guess, he's gonna fucking hole it from 125 yards. Why else would they be going to the guy there? With the Red Zone, that's not always the case, because sometimes they're let's say from the 35, all right, Drew Brees is back, we're going to cut right there. And then it's an 8-yard completion. You're like, oh shit, I thought we were going to see a touchdown. A little trickery right there. It's not always the thing. All right, we're going to get out of the Saints game. We're going to go into the Lions game or something like that. It's funny because all I could think about was the golf thing when they're when Mike would complain about the Masters and they're showing the guy in last place, a hole in one on a par 3.
They can't all be winners. I mean, the Red Zone channel, listen, we all associate it with being in the red zone, taking care of business, amazing, just exciting plays. They can't all be. You're going to get Titans versus, I'm following in you. I was about to say Titans versus Oilers. Titans versus Titans versus the Texans, and there's not going to be a big play. It's going to be a 2-yard run. They're just going to fall down. It happens.
Right. But the good news is he bails on that within a minute. He's like, all right, boom, we're going to,
Yeah, you saw it going on there, and then not much. So,
right.
He's an interesting.
Oh yeah. So in conclusion, the Giants won and the Jets lost.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next. Now you are a Giants fan. Not to break down the entire game, but you saw the Giants. What did you think against this Cowboys team that you don't think they're good, but I mean, you hear enough Cowboy fans rant and rave that you think they're winning the Super Bowl every year. So you have to look at them and be like, what the fuck are they? They look like shit, but these guys must see something that I don't see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I thought Prescott played pretty good. I mean,
he didn't throw any deep balls. He didn't throw any deep balls. He's not ready.
He's not ready. I don't know. Listen, divisional games, especially Giant Cowboy, they're always close. Somebody on Twitter is like, "Oh, the Giants barely beat the Cowboys." That's always a tight game, I thought Ezekiel Elliott looked pretty good. Giants defense was, I don't know, it's spotty. I mean, I almost said bend but don't break, but I think I'd punch myself in the face if I said bend but don't break because. Well,
we should just get you a job in the studio when you start throwing out.
Yeah.
They bend, but they didn't break.
That's essentially what they did. They bent, but they didn't break. And Terrence Williams, for some reason, I have no idea, decided not to run out of bounds at the end and made sure he stayed in bounds with a great picture of Des Bryant pointing. Of all people, Des Bryant pointing out of bounds. Go that way. He grabbed the ball and fell down, and for some reason he thought they could run up to the line and spike it with 4 seconds left in the game.
Definitely.
And the Giants. Listen, I said this after. I don't know who I said it to, but I feel like that's just a thing I was supposed to say. I said this after. I said after the game, that's a game the Giants lose 100% of the time. In the last, under Tom Coughlin.
Right,
they always lose that fucking game. And you're like, oh, God, that was a heartbreaker. We should have won that. And, well, they won. So, 1-0.
This is completely relevant to the game. I talked about this on Twitter and on the last podcast. Did you have a problem with the tickle party between Odell Beckham and Des Bryant before the game?
I wish they would have done it in the locker room. That sounds even worse.
What else do you want to see there, you fucking pervert?
I mean, it was a little much. See, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with them throwing the ball to each other.
Neither do I.
Hey, I don't know. I could do without the tickling. I hate tickling. I don't know. That sounds like a Seinfeld thing, right? I hate the tickler.
She was a tickler, George. A tickler.
A tickler. I didn't.
I know. Listen, I make a bigger
thumbs
deal
down. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Cut Beckham? I mean, it's something that I feel like I'm old, but beyond my years sometimes when it comes to the fraternization between other players. Like you said, I have no issue. If they're like, hey, you know what, we hang out in the off season, we train in the off season, we know we have the same agent. None of this I know is true at all. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, I believed you.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, sorry. I do not listen to anything I really say in these podcasts. Very little preparation or fact checking is involved. I have no issue with them throwing the ball, just like you said, but the tickling, man, that is just such a bad, especially such a violent game like football where you want to just beat the hell out of the other person. You got to be like a teammate being like, what's he doing? He was tickling. They were tickling each other?
Who's tickling?
Exactly. So, I mean, it has nothing to do with the content of the game, the conclusion, anything like that. I was just wondering. I noticed a lot of Giant fans were silent on it, so that made me think they did not like it, but they didn't want to get into it.
Do you think this will be a new pregame ritual? Best wide receiver versus best wide receiver, tickle fight, play catch.
Oh, God.
Let's go get them. What if that's a new NFL tradition?
Yeah, that's something. I hope they put that all over social media. NFL Tickle Sunday #.
Tickle Sunday.
Oh God, Antonio Brown's tickling Julio Jones. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But the Giants.
You know what? Let's revisit that later on.
Yeah, well, let's see how the season goes. See if tickling becomes a thing, or is that just an isolated incident? What was I going to say? The Jets game I didn't see a ton of just because there were a ton of games going on, so I sort of was all over the place. I was actually looking a lot in the Eagles and Browns game just because I found that game intriguing. My wife kept asking me, why do you keep going back to this game? And I kept saying, I don't know.
I don't know.
But the Jets, this is a game that I thought like I said before, I mean, I hate saying that it's a must-win on the first game of the season, but you see their schedule. It's rough, man. It's rough. They needed to beat this team, and Nick Folk,
yeah. Like you said, same thing. I kind of checked in. I didn't really watch down for down. I feel like every time I turned it back on, Andy Dalton was throwing a 50-yard pass to AJ Green, who was making a ridiculous catch. I don't know how many times that happened, but I felt like, I was like, Jesus, how many catches does this guy have already? Yeah, I mean, it sounded, listen, I was listening to the NFL, or he doesn't use the word NFL. What's Mike's Sunday show? NFL Today, not the NFL.
I'll
Football Sunday. Football Sunday. That's
just another thing. The NFL. I mean, they're jealous. They're a bully, and they've taken that away from me too.
Was that your mic or your dog?
That was terrible, right? I'm not good at this. Yeah, take it whatever way you want.
Yeah. So he of course, Ira in Staten Island was the first caller on Sunday morning. And he started off with saying, listen, Mike, I'm not going to do the imitation now. This is a must win. And then, they kind of, Mike ragged on him a little bit. But the point is not, you can't say it's a must win in game one of the year, but the Jets schedule is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
So against Cincinnati at home, you should win the game, but I mean, I don't know. And now, Jets play tomorrow at Buffalo, right?
They play at Buffalo. Rex he already had a press conference where he swore a lot, which I'm sure Mike was very unhappy about because he did not like that Hard Knocks with all the swearing. A guy who came up in all these systems and basically was, assistant coach and all this shit, you would think he would not blush when swearing was involved. He was sucking at the teat of Bill Parcells, but at the same time is offended by swearing. But I thought I'd just throw that in anyways.
Well, the two things. The biggest swearing issue lately that he had, is this what you were talking about? Was LeBron at the fucking whatever they did at the parade?
Oh, God.
When he was
big deal.
Mike was like, I mean, because I know what it was. A caller came in and said, LeBron's a horrible role model, and Mike went on to praise him, said he's the best player in the game, and then ripped him for 5 minutes about cursing, and there was children, and the kids are harmed, and that was horrible. But then he circled back and said it's not that big of a deal. LeBron's a great guy. He does things for Cleveland. It was just
cover all your bases.
Talking in circles. I do have a Rex Ryan question. Did I read this correctly that he got his lap band removed to support his brother? Did you hear about this?
I did not hear anything about this.
Okay. Well, I hope you don't want me to explain it because I didn't click on the link on the article.
Boy, Jared, it's like you do my podcast. It's like I'll throw a headline out there, and it's like, details very lacking. Saw this headline on Twitter. Who knows if it was complete satire or what?
I think it was on ESPN.
Okay.
And it said something like Rex, that's what it was, Rex removes his lap band to support his brother, which
for what
it
reason?
doesn't make any sense.
Supporting him because what?
Well, Rob's really fat, right?
So what?
I don't know. I do have a computer in front of you. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Let me keep talking there. Let me see if I can find something about this. Yeah, I to support his. I mean, that was the point of him not being fat anymore. Was
right.
Rex.
Also of note, I think tomorrow is don't they do the color rush? The really awful. They pick a color and they wear the same color.
You are right. You're right on both the courts. You are right. They're wearing different jerseys. I did see something along those lines at the color rush, and I'm sure Michael has some problem with that. Rex removes his band for his brother and Bob to win more games. I told him.
So he wants to be fat, right?
He said, I told him we'll figure this out together without in parentheses one more game than did with it in. Really, it's lacking logic to me, honestly.
No
Yeah.
way. Really?
And then it shows them riding a bicycle together, which I get it. They're riding a bicycle together. Yeah, that was the only quote in the article, I guess. According, this is, I told him we'll figure this out together. Plus, I won more games without it than I did with it. I just don't.
I have no idea what the fuck that means. I'm sorry I brought it up because
No, I'm actually glad you brought it up. I still don't understand what it means, but like, what is his? Okay, according to the Post, Ryan said he learned some habits that can keep him off the weight without the lap band, which helped him lose more than 100 pounds. But as Ryan revealed to ESPN last month, he actually gained 30 pounds since Rob joined the Bills coaching staff.
Oh.
So he gained weight when Rob came in. He then said reverse the lap band or remove the lap band because Rob helped me gain weight. So is this the only conclusion I can gain from this is that they're going to lose weight together in some sort of unity and then go like 9-7 or 8-8 anyways. But this is an interesting story because I really don't understand it.
Well, it could be the buffalo thing, maybe eating a lot of buffalo wings, a lot of fried food, which previews into a later topic on this podcast, which we won't spill the beans.
Beans are food. That's good.
Yeah, it could be the buffalo. It really could be the food. I went to school up in Buffalo. It could be the wings. I mean, I don't know. They love their wings. I don't know.
That is a very strange story. I had no idea that story, but all right. Anyways,
yeah.
I guess another football story here. Roger Goodell, because you tweeted about this, that's why I'm bringing it up. Roger Goodell basically hinted that kickoffs are about to be an extinct species. As the game started, I think it was the Jets game. You tweeted out if it's a touchback, excuse me, I'm stumbling all over my. I'm staring at the street and watching a car go by, and I completely. That's how much attention I have. A car drove by, and I completely lost what I was saying. But a touchback now is brought out to the 25-yard line, and I think Kenny Albert made it seem as if everyone knew that. I mean, come on. And you tweeted out, you're like, please retweet this or whatever if you knew, because we all did, right? Or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, I have no problem. Listen, I don't watch preseason NFL, so if they cover this in the Falcons preseason games, I missed it. I'm sorry. I didn't catch all the local Falcons preseason games. No, I had absolutely no idea. I don't know. Here's the thing. They moved the kickoff up. Was it last year or the year before?
Right.
To reduce the number of kickoffs the number of returns to reduce injury. Wasn't that like the reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And now a kickoff comes out, or a touchback rather, comes out to the 25 rather than the 20.
So they're basically saying you have more incentive to not run out and get your bell rung and sit in the end zone, and you'll go 5 yards farther. That's what
Why the fuck are we having kickoffs?
That's basically what Goodell is saying, that it's going to be, because the NFL talks out of both sides of its mouth. I mean, it is a violent, animalistic sport, and the idea that we're going to try to make it safer is just, it's insane when you see Cam Newton getting knocked in the fucking head, and it's like, concussion protocol, all that shit, yeah. But I don't know. I just, now you hear Goodell say it, and you've heard whispers about it before, and now Goodell is saying it straight up. You're almost just like, well, it's about to happen. So.
Yeah, and I think, listen, I hate to give Mike credit on anything, but he said this like years ago. He said when they moved when they moved it up a little bit, 5 yards, to reduce the number of returns, he said, listen, this is an easy way to start fading out kickoffs, because the league just does not want kickoffs. They find it unnecessary. That's where these guys get paralyzed. Didn't the Rutgers guy, right? Didn't he get paralyzed?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was just one example, but I think there's been so many guys with, it's like serious fucking injuries.
Because I mean, in
kickoffs.
In reality, it's a play that goes nowhere, or is the most exciting play in football, or both of them, someone gets hurt really bad.
Right, right.
Because you have.
But here's the thing: you have special teamers that like specialize that make the team just, due to that. You know what I mean? Due to, I mean, they can play other parts of special teams, but gunners, right? They call them, that just basically run down the field at 100 miles an hour and just try to annihilate somebody.
Yeah, these special teams guys are animals. I mean, they really are. I mean, these are guys that think about it. This is like war in those movies, like a Civil War movie where you have if you got a war now, it's like the guys are shooting at each other from like 20 miles away. But back in the day, like Civil War, Revolutionary War, they're all running at each other, at least in the movies, with like bayonets and everything. That's what this shit is like. It's fucking thousands of people running in, and this one is just amazing athletes just all running into each other. Something's got to give.
Yeah, I mean, do those guys make the team now? If they eliminate, are they eliminating roster spots? Like,
you'd have to think that they would be. You know what? Some of the lesser guys on special teams would definitely lose jobs. You're right. Or would they? Yeah, no, they probably would. Exactly.
What other team? I mean, on a field goal or a PAT,
they put most of the starters.
I guess they could play punt.
Yeah, I guess. Punt. You're right, punt.
But I mean, I feel like a lot of punts are fair caught anyways.
That's true. That's another thing.
I don't know.
Mandatory fair catches. That'll
fair catches, right?
It's just so people just start kick. Yeah, I know. So the punter totally has. If they're in the game chair there, I mean, they could basically do whatever they want. So,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm glad we solved the issue. I'm glad we solved.
We talked around the issue for a good 5 minutes. Solved absolutely nothing. Basically. So obviously, let's move on. The other thing I want to talk about, I'm not an enormous college football fan. Now, are you getting into college football in the South there?
It is amazing the level of people that give a shit about college football versus the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut.
Before
area.
I ask, before you go on, did you like college football before you moved down there?
In as much as I was a Michigan fan my whole life, as much as, other people were Notre Dame fans, none of us ever went to Michigan or Notre Dame, like that whole thing, you know what I mean? If you had your team. But yeah, I mean, I followed college football. I'm a Michigan fan. I try to watch games on Saturday. I'll watch certainly the playoffs and the bowl games. I was a good college football fan. Down here though, holy shit. It is like, I mean, and it's not just Georgia. It's Tennessee, it's Auburn, it's USC as they call it, which is South Carolina, which is maybe the funniest thing I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, trying to compare the two programs.
Right. Yeah, so Auburn, I mean, I see a lot of Tennessee, Ole Miss. What I'm doing now is just naming all the SEC schools.
You're totally doing a Joe Mango thing where it's just like, I remember that team. Yeah, Billy so-and-so. Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
But it's on Saturday, like if you go out, everybody's got, if they're not at the game, they've got their, their shirts on and their hats or whatever. It's, I don't know. And they're, the dopey flags on the cars, the thing that hooks onto the car or whatever. It's amazing how, I don't know why I'm amazed that college football is popular in the South, but that and high school football. We have down the street, we have a football stadium that is like ridiculous. It's like, I don't know how many people it seats, but this beautiful parking lot, this big stadium. I'm like, this is high school football, right? Like, you used to 50 drunk kids at a Friday night high school football game.
It was up in the Northeast, it's like the drunk kids going to the game. Basically, that's basically just the pregame. And you know what? You try to, at least you try to stay away from the whole crew of parents and everything, just because you don't want people to get thrown out. So you're sort of leering on the side there, just yeah, we're smoking, we're drinking. Yeah, that's the way it is, exactly. But I know. I mean, I see the movies. I read Friday Night Lights. I see all the games, the highlights. It's still something that I don't understand. Maybe I'd have to see it to believe. I mean, I believe it. It's not like I'm questioning other people, but really see to believe sort of situation. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and this is not any bullshit. The high school that's near us that I'm talking about, and including many other high schools in and around us, funnel talent to UGA, Georgia, other SEC schools, and I can't off the top of my head, but these guys I don't know if maybe a handful of them go to play in the NFL, but like a lot, like the quarterback at the local, like he will go to play college football somewhere. So that's why they have, I don't know, 10,000 people show up for a fucking high school football game,
10,000,
which is unbelievable. I can't even. I drove by the field the other day. I was like, holy shit, Mike! You couldn't believe this, and they put it's like a $3 million stadium or something like that, which for a high school complex is ridiculous.
My high school team at home didn't even have lights, so they played on Saturday morning. They had
the temporary.
They played Friday Night Lights when they were on the road. So it was like, hey, you going to the football game? I'm like, I'm not fucking waking up on Saturday morning to go to that game. I'm hungover from Friday night. Give me a break. So, like, I mean, that's not fun going there at 11 a.m., like, sitting with parents selling, like, you know, like M&M's and Snickers and popcorn and hot dogs. And, you know, 11 a.m., I mean, am I really going to show up drunk? And I'm from a small town, too, where did you see Brian? Oh, he was shit-faced at 11 a.m. Yeah, that was great. So
but you're telling me your high school didn't have field turf on your?
No. A lot of goose shit, but no.
Goose shit.
Oh yeah, a lot of geese. So the reason I bring up college football, though, I don't know where you stand on this. Michigan, you mentioned Michigan. Coach Jim Harbaugh, Christ Almighty, Brian, has been accused of eating his own boogers. Now, aware of this?
Yes. He would never do that.
He has denied.
It's false.
He has denied that he has eaten his own boogers. I have to ask you, Jared. Have you ever eaten your own boogers?
When I was a young child, I might have. I can't deny that. I think I was maybe a baby.
Well, you know what? I'm going to admit I was older than a baby. I'll tell you, I was first grade, and I got caught. I got caught eating my own boogers. I mean, I'm like Bismarcky here, eating boogers. I stuck my head under the lunchroom table, this like long, you know, like almost 100-yard table. No one would notice that my head was just under. And I was eating my boogers, and two girls saw me, and they laughed, and they didn't tell anyone, or they didn't say anything, but they probably told everyone just so I could get accustomed to, you know, what females do. I should have known right from the beginning there. That's how it works.
Right.
So, I can't find the quote from Harbaugh, but he said it was more of he was rubbing his nose, then he bit his fingers. It totally reminds me of, bring up Seinfeld again. The Seinfeld episode.
That was a scratch.
Exactly, where you know there can be you know, misleading or misconception involved in you know, picking your nose and eating it.
Meanwhile, to spin off of that, but just if I may sneak this in, Michigan has looked unfucking believable so far. I know they've played, you know, Hawaii and Central Florida. I'm not, or South Florida, whatever the hell it is. They have annihilated. They were favored by 37 and 36 respectively, I think, in each games, and they covered. So kudos to them. But I mean, you know, listen, they're playing the minor leagues, if you will. But there's been a lot of these games where they bring in the you know, the shitty team, and Georgia beat the shitty team this past week 26-24. I mean, it's not a guarantee, and they dropped 7 positions in the rankings. So you better beat the shit out of them, otherwise you're going to drop. I don't know. I have high expectations for Michigan, but we'll see.
We will see.
2-0.
We will see. 2-0. Michigan looks good. So let's talk about this. Let's end it with this because we've talked a while here. Let's talk about a minor Twitter sensation. And I know some people are probably like, yeah, I've never heard of this guy. This is not a Twitter sensation at all. But I've seen you referencing this gentleman on Twitter and other people. I don't have what is his name, but other people on Twitter referencing this person, and this is.
Oh, I have their names.
Okay, I was doing it as let's see, NJD107 Nick and hot dogs and beer at hot dogs and beer.
Hot dogs and beers.
Beers.
BEERS. Yeah.
So,
Somehow, I don't know how he got that Twitter name, by the way.
Yeah, how is that available?
That's hot dogs and beers. Like, how do you corner that name?
You would have thought that was taken like week 3 of
Twitter. like day 2 of fucking Twitter. Like, hot dogs and beers.
Some baseball loon would have got that. I know.
Really?
We're talking about Mr. Good Eats. Now,
yes.
Our nation is compelled, for whatever reason, by competitive eating, by Joey Chestnut, Kobayashi, all these people. Mr. Good Eats is sort of, I don't want to say he's local, because I think he's actually in, like, Southern California.
San Diego.
San Diego, okay. But he loves food, and he wants to tell us about it. So you have been a big fan. What is it about Mr. Good Eats that gets you?
Oh God! All right. If I laugh uncontrollably through this, it's because I can't believe I'm actually speaking about this. All right. So as we mentioned, NJD 107 kind of turned me on to him. He mentioned him passing me one day. Do you know about this guy? And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? It started with his Instagram page. So on his Instagram page, he broke down. When I say he, Mr. Good Eats. Kind of broke down his typical feast, if you will, on Thanksgiving, and it was just amazing. It was just all day food, all kinds of food, and I was like, wow, this is like really a lot of stuff. I almost said something else there, but yeah, just a lot of interesting stuff. So you got to remember that was under his Thoughts and Views webpage on Instagram. So he was very into food. He'd kind of go to all different events. He would just eat a lot of food. That's kind of the basis of it. Then he created an account on Twitter called Mr. Good Eats. So Mr. Good Eats appreciates all the finest of unhealthy foods, right? So Hooters, the San Diego County Fair.
Loves Hooters.
Right. All different, all you can eat Hooters nights, whatnot. And I'm amazed about how much food he can eat. And he's not, he loves taking pictures. He loves having people take pictures of him wearing a Mets jersey with jorts, Mets socks, and a Never Trumps button on his Mets jersey. And he just goes throughout the country. He goes to different baseball games. He goes to Milwaukee. He was at Citi Field for the Piazza weekend. He just goes everywhere and just fucking eats like a lot. And it's always in a, hey, like, this is good stuff. And it's like a picture of like a hot dog, a brat, and like a pretzel and a soda. It's like, all right. I mean, that's, ballpark food. I wouldn't,
exactly.
That's not exactly Smith and Walensky or anything, but I mean, it's, it is what it is kind of thing.
Ben Benson's Steakhouse or anything like that.
Right. So one of the other examples, like I said, recently has become, so July 4th, right? July 4th is really the turning point at the San Diego County Fair. What he did was spend the entire day there, and he ate the entire day. NJD 107 and I calculated a little over 5,000 calories, maybe just short of 6,000 calories for the day. And it included everything. I mean, just, there was a Krispy Kreme donut, like picture 2 donuts with, I think, 2 or 3 cheeseburgers in between. Think about what I just said.
That's
Krispy
I'm
Kreme
already,
donuts.
I think I just put on 3 pounds hearing what you just said. It's insane.
All right. So, and he gives step by step. Like he'll post a picture on Twitter.
Exactly.
Okay, I cut piece 1. He cut it in quarters. Piece 1, piece 2, piece 3, and here it is. It's gone.
Like he says, this is the remains of course 1.
Right. This is the remains. I'm trying to think of other things. There was meatballs on a stick. There was ice cream. There was fried Twinkies. There was hot dogs. It was a day full. And like I said, I think it was a little over 5,000 calories. Again, not my proudest moment that I took part in trying to tally up how much calories he ate on July 4th.
Jared, what are you doing in there?
As I have a calculator with a big piece of paper running out of the calculator.
Just calculate calories, some guy on Twitter.
Crunching numbers, not a big deal. So here's the thing. he is, and I've interacted with him, I've retweeted him. He's like the nicest guy I think I've ever spoken to. He couldn't be any fucking nicer. I hope he's okay. Like, I hope I don't know. I hope his insides are okay. The way he eats, he should be 400 pounds, but he's not 400 pounds.
He showed me a picture of him, and I mean, he's not fat at all. He's quite normal.
He's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not, Mr. Buff at the gym over here, but I mean, none of us are. He's
exactly.
He's just a normal looking guy.
But
but when you see somebody that has Monday Night Football, maybe he went to Hooters and ate 40 wings. I mean, I can't even, if I have 8 wings or 10 wings, I think I would be like, holy shit, my mouth is on fire. Maybe a couple of beers, and that's the other thing. He doesn't drink alcohol.
That's an issue. That could play a part in his intake.
Right. So the caloric intake, if you will, goes up. He reserves stomach room. I think there was a whole discussion of what with hot dogs and beers. Does he coat his stomach first with milk?
That's right.
Before he eats, because he's not eating just, hey, I'm just eating fucking cheeseburgers. I'm eating 40 spicy wings from Hooters, and then I'm gonna, I don't know what's going on in the stomach. Is it okay? Is it rumbling a little bit?
That reminds me of like Great Outdoors, where like John Candy's eating the old 96er, and Dan Aykroyd's like listening. He's like, yes, processing nicely, very nice.
Yeah. So lately it's been the Hooters thing. Now, this has really started to catch on, and I don't know if it's my fault. I don't know if it's NJD 107's fault. I don't know. But people are now starting to send him what they're eating, right?
Yeah.
And let's say they're making, I don't know, chicken parmesan or something like that. And here's the chicken parmesan, and he'll quote it, as a retweet and said, Mr. Good Eats loves chicken parmesan, with an emoji thumbs up. Or he'll critique you and say, you know what? Not always the biggest fan of peanuts. I respect your choice. So everything's not delicious, but he'll give you the thumbs up for trying, and he'll give you his feedback on it too. I don't know what else to say. MJE. So if you see MGE, Mr. Good Eats.
Have we asked him if he's not into competitive eating? He's just into eating a lot. Right?
Yes. It's the most ridiculous explanation. Yes, he's into eating a lot, not competitively, but enough to just, I don't know,
and
barely not vomit. I don't know.
This is his pinned tweet, which is great. Remember, if I'm not tweeting, I'm eating.
Which belongs on a T-shirt yesterday, by the way. I mean, I'm surprised the Barstool guys haven't stolen that T-shirt idea. I mean, that would just be...
Absolutely. Add that with the Harambe ones.
The Harambe.
Yeah. The people that... Barstool cannot let Harambe die. More power to them. They're making money with it, but it's just... Enough's enough.
At $28 a shirt, they're not going to let it die until the fucking funds stop coming in.
It could be 50 years from now if that's still selling. God bless them, like I said.
Right.
But yeah, Mr. Good Eats. So definitely check that out, and that is at Mr. Good Eats on Twitter. So he is gaining followers. I do like that he's becoming a thing.
He is gaining followers. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And somebody asked me, like, "Oh, are you goofing on him?" I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I like I said, I'm not making fun of him because I have nothing to make fun of. He's seems like a nice guy. He's not a dick about anything.
No, he loves food.
He just loves food. The most ironic part, though, there's no irony. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but everything that he labels like, quality good eats. And he was like, hashtag good eats on Instagram was one of his first posts. It was one of those, not Jimmy Dean, but like those instant meat things that you put like a Philly cheesesteak, in the microwave for 30 seconds with the bread, and then it comes out melted. Like, that's not good eating. That's just like, that's either you're a college student or I don't know. Steakums. That's what it was. It was a fucking Steakums. I'm like, that's hashtag Good Eats is not Steakums in a microwave for 45 seconds. It's, I don't know, name a nice restaurant, but there's no irony in there. But he loves it, so who the fuck am I to judge?
Exactly. We're no one to judge. He's just living there, and you know where he's living? He's living location at breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes.
That's his location. So that's
you need him on this podcast tomorrow.
I need to talk to him and find out what is it that you listen. And again, this isn't making fun at all. I just want to know why did you decide that you wanted to have a Twitter account just to talk about the food you eat? Because listen, there are days that I will go on Twitter and I will not even see him in the timeline. I go, I wonder what he's doing.
He's eating.
And I will put his name in. I mean, and I'm sorry, like you said, he's not a Trump fan. I do the same thing with Donald Trump. I'm like, has he tweeted anything stupid lately? And I'll put his name in, and the same way I put in Mr. Good Eats. I'm like, what is he eating? I want to know. So
it's addicting. I don't know. I like I said, I hope his insides are okay. I mean, he eats. It's never apples or fruit or lettuce or anything.
It's not like watch how many kale sandwiches I can eat. No, it's not that.
40 buffalo wings in one night. I mean, oh God, the horror the next day must be just outrageous. But that's between him and his bathroom. So
hopefully it's good plumbing there. So we'll end it on that. Jared, you can always follow Jared on Twitter at WFAN Trades. Jared, thanks for coming on the podcast again.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
There is Jared at WFAN Trades on Twitter. Great guest, as always. As all guests on the Red Ticket Blues podcast. Always good when Jared comes on. We can just shoot the shit about whatever. And I think everyone enjoys it. So I just want to bring up, I did not address how terrible my picks were, or fully didn't address how terrible they were. In week one, I was 1-2. The one win was the Giants, which were plus 3.5. I said Seattle -7. They ended up winning. What was the score? They ended up winning by 2. So obviously didn't cover there. And I said the Cardinals, which I believe is -5, and they lost. So that's 1-2, and that's not the excellence you have come to expect with the Red Ticket Blues podcast. So let's try to rebound this fucking week. All right, let's go. Week 2. All right, so there's a lot of games that I actually like, but I am too petrified to actually take. I like Minnesota +2 against Green Bay, but at this moment we don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be. And the other game I liked, who was it? I liked Cleveland +7 with Baltimore, but actually, no, I do like that game. What am I talking about? The other game that I was sort of on the fence with was, where the hell was it? Maybe that was the only one I was on the fence with. I thought there was another one. Anyway, so these are going to be my picks for this week, okay? You ready? Get ready. Get your pen. I'll wait. You have it? All right. Oakland showed a lot going into New Orleans. I don't care if their defense sucks. They showed a lot going cross-country, almost cross-country with that. So they're playing Atlanta at home, -4.5. I think that's a steal. I'm going to give you that's the lock of the week. That's the shoe-in of the week. It's a pretty big shoe. If you get that, that's a Simpsons reference. If you don't, then just continue going and you won't care. Anyways, so we got Oakland -4.5. I like Denver -6. I like that against Indianapolis at home. They're playing in Denver. And the other pick, I'm going to take the Giants again. I'm going to roll with the Giants. Yeah, Cleveland I liked. Josh McCown, though, I don't know. Against Baltimore really didn't show me a ton. I mean, yeah, they won, but again, they're playing the Bills. So they're playing in Cleveland. You get a division game. Anything can happen. Cleveland usually stinks, and the joint just reeks. It just smells. It's a foul scent. But I'm going to take the Giants -4.5. So we're taking all favorites this week. We got Oakland -4.5, Denver -6, and the Giants -4.5. Those are the 3 picks for the Red Ticket Blues podcast. Christ almighty, let's do better than 1 and 2. All right, if you enjoyed the show, remember you can listen on all these forums: iTunes, TuneIn, Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play. Remember to subscribe on those forums. And if you really like the show, if you really want to do a personal favor to me, so listen up. You're going to leave a review. Just hit the buttons. You don't even have to give a personal review. Just hit the buttons. Hit the stars on all of them, on Stitcher, on iTunes. Those are the most important. So you have an iPhone, you have no excuse, and I will disown you as a human being if you don't do it. Pretty tough. Follow me on Twitter at BrianBuff13 and at Red Ticket Crew. Stern but fair. Come on, give me a break. And with all that being said, I'm out of here.